We began to go down the river, and my boat became pinned. I was drowning.
The first thing that happens is called an out-of-body experience.
And they come to a place of exquisite beauty.
They very commonly see a light. Deceased relatives come to meet them. The first person I saw was my grandfather.
Honestly, I have seen this trailer how many times, and it still gives me full body rush goosebumps every time.
Yeah, that is a part of a documentary called After Death, done by a Canadian. And it's got people talking, because what happens when you have a near-death experience?
That moment.
And I've always wondered for myself, not being a particularly religious person, spiritual, I think that when you're laying in your deathbed or you're in that moment, that was when I would wish that I had clarity about what comes next.
Or being with a loved one. I just had
Yeah.
I just had the moment just this past July 31st, holding the hand of somebody as they left, and I wondered, where are you going? Had the conversation with my mom just yesterday of hopefully your soul will land with his in that moment. So what do we know? Well, we're about to find out what the science and experts and some people who have experienced a near-death experience.
Yeah, the director of After Death is in Winnipeg. His name is Stephen Gray, and he joins us now. Thank you so much for doing this, Stephen.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me here.
It's so fascinating because everybody's curious. None of us really knows. We've heard stories. Why did you decide to take on this project? Was there a family connection for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is a question that I think we all ask, right? You know, everyone eventually kind of comes to terms with, is there something after or not? And so for me, my brother-in-law was actually killed in a car wreck. He was 36 years old. And as a filmmaker, you know, that just kind of like, you know, basically kind of altered the course of my career. I began to ask questions about, you know, is there something after or not? I wasn't sure really what I believed, if there was a heaven or was there a heaven. And so that's when I started exploring these stories and came across, you know, multiple New York Times bestselling authors, many of which who had died for a period of time. In the film, we have 14 different people who clinically died between seconds to an hour and 45 minutes and came back to talk about it.
Wow.
Obviously, we should all see the documentary. What was the first sort of domino to fall in your mind as you were gathering together the pieces of this to say, wow, I'm really onto something that's going to resonate? Because going in, as you said, your reason for going in is one thing, but just looking at the trailer, honestly, I mean it when I say we watch it and it's awe-inspiring.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I think kind of peeling back the layers of some of these people who are claiming that they had died and finding actually there's a lot of evidence to surround that. And that was a big part of kind of our reason for picking the people we did to include in the film was almost everyone in the film has, you know, medical records, or there's an investigation or police reports or a doctor's, you know, handwritten, like, you know, accounts of what had happened and how long they were dead. And so we can kind of let go of the idea that whether they died or not. We know that they died, at least for a period of time. And clinical death is defined in our film as someone who doesn't have any heartbeat anymore, has no brain activity, and it isn't breathing. So then for a period of time, with or without resuscitation efforts. And like I said, the longest that we have in the film is an hour and 45 minutes. That's a long time to be dead.
It is. And we always hear these stories about you see a light, or you're going down a tunnel, or you're floating above yourself, or you see loved ones. Was there a commonality to the stories? What did you hear?
There was a commonality. And actually, I think that was the most surprising part, especially because these people have such different backgrounds. You know, we also included stories that are non-Western. So an individual from South Korea, a lady from Israel, 3 people from India, and they have such different backgrounds, including the people that we interviewed in North America. You know, there's a few atheists. They would be former atheists now, but at the time they didn't believe in anything after, that they would just cease to exist. And so when they died, they were surprised to find that their consciousness had gone on. And so they're standing basically in the room where their body was, and they're seeing their body for the first time outside of themselves, which is really alarming for some people who you know didn't believe in anything like that before. But yeah, there's these common sort of elements to the near-death experience, and it didn't seem to it wasn't defined by culture. It wasn't defined by kind of their pre-existing idea of what the afterlife would be. Whether they experienced something or not, they were experiencing something that seemed to be this common human experience.
And you said we're now former atheists, so was it somewhat of a across-the-board religious experience for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, many people do describe seeing, they describe seeing dead relatives, many of them. They'll also describe angels. They may not have the same terminology, so sometimes they'll say they don't know what that was, but whether it had wings or not, it was sort of guiding them into this place. And many of them say they saw Christ, or that they saw a man. They might use words like a man made of light that had unconditional love and acceptance. And it was this kind of overwhelming sense of love that they've never experienced here on Earth. You
talk to doctors and scientists. How did they explain that?
I mean, that's the crazy part. I mean, half the film is science, and we include multiple neurologists, cardiologists, surgeons, and they're dealing with patients again who kind of are defying the medical norm. They're coming back way past the time where they should be, and in some cases, they're seeing things that have happened in, say, the operating room that can later be corroborated. We have one account in the film. Pam Reynolds, she was dead over an hour, and they actually had to drain the blood from her brain, from her head entirely, and they stopped her heart for this period of time. And this is when she has out-of-body experience. She's seeing the operating room and all the things that happened, including conversations, the music that was playing, the problems that occurred during the surgery. She's seeing angels. She's brought towards heaven. Then she comes back. She's told it's not her time. She goes back to her body. When they're shocking her twice, the second time is when she re-enters her body. The next morning, she's talking to the neurologist and describing the things that happened in the operating room. And they went back to check, make sure that she was flatlined, that, yes, this is not medical malpractice. This is actually, we did everything properly. And somehow she's having this memory while she's dead.
Wow, it's incredible.
One more thing, I know we're out of time. I could literally talk to you for a full hour. In the trailer, there's a lot of I see a light, I see the angel, I see the unconditional love, but there's also it was terrible and it was awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of this reality to some near-death experiences. So as we were finding out more and more and interviewing people from, all over the place, this was something that was coming up. And I think I don't think there's really been a film that kind of goes into this topic. Most books and if there's been any films on this before, they'll always go into the positive counts. But there were a few counts that we included in our film that had what they would call a hellish experience. But they were given a second chance. They came back and they totally changed their lives around.
Wow. Okay. It's so fascinating. And I know people are thinking, where can I see it? Where can people see this documentary?
Yeah, so right now, we just came out of theater, so unfortunately it's not playing in Canadian theaters anymore. It was playing at over 2,700 theaters, which is absolutely crazy for a documentary.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it was like a top-time, all-time documentary release.
Congratulations.
Which was amazing. But next up, it's going to be going international, and then it's going to be available streaming soon. But you can find out more at angel.com/afterdeath. That's the best place to go and find where you can see it next.
Love it. Thank you for making it. Really looking forward to digging into the entire documentary. Appreciate your time and good luck with it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
That is the director of the documentary After Death, Stephen Gray, in Winnipeg.
We got to watch that. Angel.com/afterdeath.
Love it.
Okay.
All
Where
right.
are we going next?
Okay,
well, it's
we're
going to be,
taking a deep
speaking of
breath.
hell.
Yeah. A wild tractor chase down a BC highway leads to a crash and an arrest. What the hell is wrong with people? Coming up next.
And now let's lighten things up significantly with our viewing party. Thank you for your entries for a White Spot gift certificate. Sarah in North Van, hello.
We have Shelley and Victoria. Hi to you.
And Sherry in Duncan. Thanks for watching.
Also, we have Sonia. Look at everyone showing their faces. Thank you, everyone. We love seeing you.
And we'll be right back with more of Steele and Vance. And this is how you get in on our viewing party. Viewing party at CHEKmedia.ca.